Welcome to South Harmon.
Yes, sir. Mike.
What up, everybody?
We had
Wednesday AMA. We're alive after the draft.
I was going to say we had a long draft stream. Ready or not, we're back again. It won't be quite as long, but you're going to feel it, just like we did.
You don't think we're doing 20 hours?
That'd be kind of funny to, Mike. You imagine a 20-hour straight stream. As a matter of fact, I think wasn't it way back in the day when Matthew Berry first had the fantasy thing on TV? I think they did like a 24-hour straight stream. I can't imagine doing 20 hours in a row, dude. Straight up, like.
That's a lot, man. That's a lot.
What's good, DB? We got a 10-man. Oh, Mike, just in case you were wondering, we're gonna start off. Satoshi, first question is a 10-man.
No, we are not. Next.
But listen, we'll get to questions in a minute. Mike, we've had some time to think this through, right? Think through all the chaos that took place. Some of which was chaos, some of which was very much vanilla. We're gonna get into all the different, at least I would say talk about running back, wide receiver, quarterback, obviously, super flex. That's what we play here. Hello, welcome to the show. So we're going to be talking about those. We may have to dabble tight ends, but you know what we think if you've been here before. And if you don't, you will not be confused when you leave the stream. I promise that part. Mike, my question to you, right? For the running back position, based on what took place, was there any real change for you in the top, let's call it 10, 6 to 10 running backs in the class?
Oh, yeah. RJ Harvey with that landing spot in Denver, second-round draft capital. Massive riser.
Sure.
Keep Trade put out a tweet earlier. Basically all your first-round rookies have just seen a massive spike in their value on their site. On their
platform,
which isn't
okay.
always, which is, it's just a baseline. That's all it is, but
yeah.
Everybody's seen an uptick, and nobody's was bigger than RJ Harvey. Nobody's was bigger than him.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I think he's the one that, like, we talked about this on the stream, but just quickly, we had, you and I, Mike, 5 guys that we'd be shocked if they didn't go in the first 2 days. Those guys did go, right? Kaleb Johnson went round 3 to secure that. RJ Harvey actually went earlier than him, right, back in part of round 2. So he was the one guy, I think, that just by strictly that principle, he had to move the most. He Mike, was one of the guys that I could see going in day 2. I'd probably given about 4 or 5 names that I thought could go. RJ Harvey, frankly, while I could see him going, he was the last person on my list of guys that I thought realistically could actually go round 2, round 3, right? And to see him go to round 2 was surprising. So where does that land him for you in Dynasty at the moment?
Back end, probably like 109, 110-ish in the first round, rookie drafts.
I'm right there with you. I have him at 108, but I think realistically 108 to 110 is pretty locked in depending on how you feel about RJ Harvey in the landing spot, right?
We respect the landing spot, respect the draft capital. And it wasn't like he was dog shit, It wasn't like
right.
Woody Marks got second-round draft capital, No offense, Woody. No offense. I take you in places. But, it wasn't somebody off the wall that I was like, oh, no, he's not very good. He's got talent. He was an intriguing prospect. I just had him ranked a hell of a lot lower than where he ended up post NFL.
I agree. I'll tell you this. I saw some couldn't this just be CEH of old? I mean, I would say as a blanket statement, I can understand the reasoning and the thought process there. And I mean, I guess truth be told, sure. I personally think he was more of a complete prospect, and I don't think much people saw CEH going round 1, frankly. That one seemed a little more out of left field. Take that with what you will. I'm personally...
They're grasping at fucking straws with that one. 2 completely different fucking running backs.
But that's my point. Is it's just thinking of an old situation and trying to apply it to this one when they're not the same thing. I think you got muted.
You're talking about a guy with 109.4 speed score, right?
Right.
CEH's biggest knock, and it has been for me for running backs forever.
Slow.
If you're small and slow, get the fuck out. Like we're good. You go into a completely different bucket. If you're small and fast as shit, all right. We've seen small, fast guys fucking succeed. It happens.
And RJ Harvey,
it's not like he's minuscule either, right? I mean, over 200 pounds.
Yeah, 205.
You put together.
Easy. Yeah.
5'8", 205. I don't understand what the knock is on the measurables. And then for somebody to be like, isn't he CEH? No. Shut the fuck up.
That's why I said in
a
a principle, like I understand why you might think that, but you just clearly haven't seen this player play versus CEH. They're different players. I'm not worried about a CEH type of a fall for where he's going to go up in value. I think the thought process was more so like, wasn't that what happened with CEH? We pushed him up the board because of draft capital and we shouldn't have. Well, that can be true, but this prospect and CEH are very different in my estimation. And Mike, I think you just did a good job highlighting that.
Well, I mean, it's a 91st percentile speed score for RJ Harvey versus a 38th
Is that good?
percentile.
91st is like pretty good, right? It's pretty fast.
There's a pretty big difference between a 4.4 and a 4.6 at basically the same size.
And Mike, to me, the biggest thing too is that RJ Harvey also, like CH, you could say was a little bit twitchy. Like RJ Harvey's twitchy and he's got the long speed. I think he could end up being a really damn good player, honestly, for our fantasy teams. I truly do.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And I don't even knock the CEH selection, right? It was a first rounder to a good landing spot. The biggest problem on the CEH thing was people push that landing spot and the draft capital higher than running backs who had very similar draft capital. You know, they were early second round.
They were all round two guys, right?
With much better profiles, much better speed scores, much better size, much better analytical profiles. The whole fucking works. And it was like all of a sudden people just didn't give a shit the fact that Jonathan Taylor was the second coming of Saquon Barkley as far as a prospect coming out. And people are like, but
he can't catch, Mike. He's not a receiving back. It's so funny. But no, I think the other thing too to that, the CEH thing was, look at his, I would say just stats overall, like how it kind of happened. He was really just he was a beneficiary of being attached to the most prolific offense that we've ever seen in college football. Like, tell me what you know about the Golden Knights, okay? And then get back to me about that part. Okay, it's a little bit different here. Like this is fucking totally separate scenario as to the rise of why CH was in that first round spot.
How many UCF players can you name that were on that team last year?
Not many. You know what? I was just watching the quarterback. I can't think of his name now. And that's how there was a sweet highlight. RJ Harvey caught it. Did you see where he basically was like running from I don't know, the 20 all the way into the end zone, circled around, then threw the ball. RJ Harvey caught it on fourth down. It was a pretty sweet play.
Yeah. That's probably where everybody's list stops right there.
Sure.
KJ Jefferson, RJ Harvey, I don't know.
Absolutely. And here we are. And Mike, let me ask you, for the running back position elsewhere, once we get down past RJ Harvey, is there anyone that's a lot more intriguing or that you think has, intrigue, but totally different range of prospect at that point? Once we get past RJ Harvey and Kaleb, to me, we're talking a totally separate tier.
Different tier, right? And for me, that's how I ended up ranking them. You got Genty and Hampton in their own tier, tier 1, Judkins and Travion in their own tier, Kaleb and Harvey in their own tier. But once you get past those 6, we got a big tier, right? Because the draft capital was very similar for a lot of these guys. We're talking 4th rounders, 4th or 5th rounders. We're talking different spots where I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out who's got the easiest path to playing time, and then also pre-draft evaluations on their talent, like where they're at. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to rank now. So some of the ones that were most interesting that moved up my ranks quite a bit, especially when you get into this tier, Travis Etienne, came from farther back. I think with just Chuba Hubbard and Rico Dottle, Chuba was nice last year, and Chuba's got some talent, but he's not a world beater. Okay, he's not a world beater. I understand he's got the contract, but Travis Etienne also has arguably just as much, if not more, talent than Chuba, in my opinion. And they took him with reasonable draft capital in the 4th round, so it looks like they're going to give him an opportunity as well to get some meaningful carries. And then I kind of shit on him earlier, but Woody Marks I've taken quite a bit in my drafts. And I put it in the Discord earlier talking with the Savage members, patreon.com/South Harmon. Woody Marks, really has no competition behind Joe Mixon at all. I mean, it's Dameon Pierce who's been in and out of favor with that coaching staff for a couple of years now.
We know what the Pierce story is. It's been kind of since the early
Darway,
days.
Wale. Who gives a shit at this point? And Woody Marks is a good pass catcher with some decent measurements as far as the combine went, as far as his speed and his ability, his burst. Looks good on film. So you could see him stepping right away into a third down role and winning that pretty easily. Sure. And let's face it, man, Joe Mixon's getting up there in age and has dealt with injuries in the past. So if Mixon gets banged up or, maybe his play falls off at his more advanced age, you could see Woody Marks having a bigger role, and it's a great fucking offense for him to be in. You got a pocket passer quarterback, higher up-tempo McVay-style offense with that zone scheme. Woody Marks became pretty fucking intriguing. He did. And I wasn't the biggest Woody Marks guy. Right?
I know.
But
those late shots, man. Those late shots worked out,
Yeah, after I'm sitting here and I'm actually trying to break down like how I differentiate like how I'm going to rank these guys, Woody Marks ended up a lot higher for me than a lot of other running backs, which I was pretty surprised about. Dylan Sampson wasn't a big fan. Listen, still respect the fact that it's pretty wide open. The only thing he's got to beat out for meaningful touches is Jerome Ford, who was abysmal last year. Yeah. So, yeah, Dylan Sampson, a riser. As much as I don't want to get over my skis on this Jarquez Hunter thing, a lot of people in the space love him. JJ Zacharyson loves the fucking guy. They picked him again, but it's kind of – I told Debro on Twitter too. He was hyping up Jarquez Hunter. It's – for me, it's like I'm going to rank him high enough where I'm going to take some shots on him, but I'm not doing it again as far as getting over my skis. Like, I'm not going to go, oh, shit, this is Blake Corum for me last year. Kyron Williams is dead. Everybody waves the white flag. It's over. It's Blake Corum. So you can't fool me 3 fucking times in a row, Sean. All right? You can't fucking do it. All right? Not this time.
Leave me out of this, McVay. All right? We've been here before. I'm not doing it again. Cameron, what's up, man? Just so you know, you haven't – I've hardly recovered, and I didn't go through anything near what Cameron did, and winning and missing the helmet all simultaneously.
The highs and the lows of Cameron Myers.
Yeah, it's something you try to, you just highlight as something that took place, and you don't be like that, Cam. But here's what I'll say, Mike. After that, we start getting to the 5th round guys, right? And like. Jayden Blue, I mean, the situation is like really all there is to like, if anything. Kind of get to a big tier of jumbled nothing. And this is, Mike, what's crazy? I did not want to have to acknowledge this. I was hoping I'd be wrong. I'm like, we get to running back like 13, and we're kind of all back to that same 2023 feeling of running backs again. It's like, fuck, man. Like, sure, some of these guys could hit, but they're just day 3 names at this point, right? Like, I do like some of them better than others. I can tell you which ones, but like Jordan James for me, not someone I really cared about in the process. All of a sudden, round 5, what's in his way? But he's really just a plus version of any running back on a 53. And a lot of these guys are going to be like that, once we get to this range. Straight up, that's kind of where we're at.
I think especially with all these rookie drafts kicking off and me having to make more and more decisions while I'm in there, like Adam, probably once you get to like the 3rd round, like, these guys are all just in a giant tier of just, all right, fuck it, I'll take one of you, and I'll take one of you. And I'm just going to hit a fucking button, man. I'm just going to hit a button. Really, at the end of the day, when I sat down in my ranks, there was 22 running backs I was willing to rank.
No way. That's what I have exactly.
I didn't give a fuck outside of that. I was like,
no way.
UDFA, guys, I'll pick you up off of waivers because you're on the team,
I'm out. I'm out after 22. 22 is all I got. Yeah. And I saw a lot of Twitter love for my 22nd ranked player, Kyle Mononganai, surprisingly today.
Ooh.
So,
he's my 21st.
Okay, who's 22 for you?
Damian Martinez. I just can't quit you.
Mike, I got him at 21 because I don't want to quit Martinez, but how bad is it, man? RB3 on Seattle's brutal.
The situation is shit. The only reason he even made it, right, because 7th round draft capital, there's got to be something that we weren't told that we don't know. Is there some the field shit with him? Is there some injury that didn't check out the greatest? Like, I mean, when I watched him on film and you see his analytics and you saw his combine, you're like, damn, man, like, I don't even know if, number 6 ranking pre-draft for me was like high enough. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put my fucking stamp on Damian Martinez is really fucking good. And then the NFL said, nah, we don't like him. So that's the only fucking reason that he even made the list is like, how the fuck am I going to have a guy at 6 pre-draft gets drafted, albeit in the 7th round, and then just not even bother to rank him post-draft? So, sorry, Damien, you're still holding on. I don't know what the fuck happened. What happened?
What the fuck happened? Yeah, not great. 102, Mike, for you. Would you take Hampton or Hunter? I guess is really the question, more so.
More times than not, I'm going to lean Travis Hunter, and yeah, more times than not, I'll probably lean Travis Hunter for me. Like it's in that. Look,
my camera again. Already. That's all right. Go ahead. You got the floor, Mike.
Starting off great.
Take it and run.
most leagues, right? And I got on somebody on Twitter today too, because the average Dynasty player thinks like I'm gonna hold them for 8 to 10 years or whatever the fuck it is. That's not why I'm holding on to longevity. When I talk about the running back position, Adam, and I like to play Dynasty in 2 to 3 year windows. Here's the thing, though. We start to get to the end of that year 3 for a lot of these running backs, even the fucking fantastic ones who come out and have great seasons. There's little things that pop up that all of a sudden just start eating at their fucking Dynasty value. Just keeps eating at them. And wide receivers like the Garrett Wilsons and the Drake Londons and the Chris Olaves and the Jalen Waddles, even when they don't produce elite seasons, it feels like year after year we make excuses for them, right? And we keep them relatively in the same range. So when I'm approaching rookie drafts, especially for a team that's picking at the top, if I'm not set and ready to roll, I'm more than likely going to lean the wide receiver position if they have similar draft capital or similar profiles. So I'm not going to say always, like 100 times out of 100, I would take Hunter over Hampton, Adam, because there are certain teams or certain situations or certain warp settings, right? Certain leagues where it doesn't really matter if I value wide receivers or the community values wide receivers how I think. The warp line on the wide receivers is so fucking abysmal or so fucking flat that, let me take the guy with points and then see if I can't flip him when he's dropping 20, 25 burgers every single week. So I'd probably put it at like 80-20, like if those are my two choices between Hunter and Hampton. But he's in the conversation definitely for me.
Yeah. And that makes sense. I mean, I think more often than not, for me, the conversation will probably end up coming down to warp. I think in a vacuum, I would take Hampton for the standpoint of outside of tradability. I think there's a good chance, not that Hunter can't for the record, right? But I think a first-round running back of Hampton's pedigree in a situation with Harbaugh, man, I have a hard time believing he doesn't have the ability to get to a warp difference maker. Now, again, that's why I say I lean on warp, because if I don't care about the running back line in warp, well, what the fuck does that matter? My take of that, right? Like, that's why I would lean on warp on this conversation more often than not. Travis Hunter, I think, can, and to your point, his value insulation realistically probably is even more safe than most, because I think people almost are going to bake in there's this year of figuring out what his snap shares are going to be, and then he becomes the receiver. So that almost makes his value insulation greater than even any other receivers out there. I don't think you can go wrong, personally. Like, I think these early first 4 picks, there's just... It's kind of like I'm going to let whatever falls to me fall to me if I was at 104. If I'm at 102, make your decision. But these first 4 picks, I love them this year. Starts to get quickly and downhill trending after that. So Judkins or Hendo and half PPR. I got these guys in a tier. And half PPR, I think I would go Judkins personally. I think Hendo does have a little bit more ceiling. And I'm curious, Mike, does the Dylan Sampson thing change it at all for you at all with him going around 4? Or is it still the same combo?
Still kind of the same combo, and to be completely frank and honest with you, I'd be much more worried about Ramondre cutting into Travion than I am Dylan Sampson cutting into Judkins' role.
Okay.
Right? Because Ramondre has shown to be effective at times, even though the last little stretch here hasn't been the greatest, right? And he did seed work to Antonio Gibson, but he's still under contract. They just came out and they talked about him glowingly, like we still like him, we still have a role for him, we still want it. Dylan Sampson was 4th-round draft capital. I already kind of questioned the talent a little bit. Like, he's interesting, and I want to draft him in spots. And like I said, he moved up for me. But, like, Ramondre's proven to do it at the NFL level and can pass catch, too. So, I don't know. if I gotta split hairs between the two, I'm with you. They're in the same tier for me. In half PPR, I'm 99 times out of 100 probably taking Quinshawn here. I already had him pre-draft ranked higher. He went higher in the NFL draft. It's one of those things. I thought he was a more talented running back than Travion. Like, I like what Travion does, and I put him in the same tier, and they're very, very close. But I'm gonna continue to go with my guy Quinshawn.
I'm laughing at Trip Crown. Trip Crown, listen, I can ban you. All right, don't tempt me. I will ban you. No, I mean, I think that's a good conversation to have. I mean, and I'll just say with Ramondre, I mean, they better still talk glowingly about him, because if you don't, they should be cutting him tomorrow. Which I think there's an out on his contract after this year, pretty much. I expect Ramondre very much to be probably, honestly, early on in the season, even getting as much, if not more, work than Trev. Right, early on. I think one thing to don't panic on some of these guys that are drafted day 2, right, round 2, when they're not day 1 starters and getting all the work. Like, that shit happens in Dynasty and kills me every time. It's like, what? Not that they shouldn't, but if they don't be surprised if they're not getting all the touches right away early on. We've seen it plenty of times, right?
Here's the other thing too. Like, we're going to talk about touch volume, and touches are king for running back too. But we're talking about two very different offenses on two very different trajectories at this point too. So if we're both talking, potential of, like Dylan Sampson versus Ramondre and, limited snaps or whatever, give me the offense that's on the trajectory of upwards, and getting better and going to be more efficient than the one that's on the way down into the shitter, as they kind of figure out what the fuck they're actually doing in Cleveland. Like, I was
going to say,
the Patriots offense than
I was going to say, could you give us could you be clear about that? Because I don't know if people are sure. The Browns don't know what the fuck they're doing. Okay. I saw a lot of people saying they love the Browns draft, and I guess I can get it, hindsight, just seeing everything on paper. If you're me and you've been a part of the roller coaster with them before, that was just these guys are literally drafting what they think is for value. They have no idea how they want to utilize these players. I'm scared. I'm scared to fucking death, Mike.
They had a great fantasy super flex draft, taking a couple running backs and a couple
best
quarterbacks.
Ball. It's gonna be awesome.
They fucking killed it.
What's going on, Robo Chris? Robo Chris is back, man. Appreciate you, Robo. And Mike, here's I'm with you. I think in full PPR, I will take in full PPR leagues though Travion Henderson, and they're in the tier though, right? Half PPR, I think the potential of the two is kind of more capped, where Travion, I think, does capture that there's an idea for him capturing more of that 3-down skill set than there is personally for me with Quinshawn. So I could split that in a full PPR league and take him. Half PPR, I don't think me and you, I still think are 100% on the same page. Like, I don't think there's really much of a conversation half PPR. I'll take just Quinshawn, although it is the same tier.
The one thing I honestly don't know, and I'm gonna look it up here and see if I can get it, find it. I have no idea what Dylan Sampson's usage was in the passing game in college.
And you know what? What's great point? Because here's the thing. I think a lot of times we mix up what someone's pass catching ability is. Jonathan Taylor was a good example of this, Mike, because he was in Wisconsin scheme. You know how many schemes are actually like really receiving friendly for the running back out there in college? Mike, how many maybe on one hand, 2 hands? I mean, like, we're talking. Most schemes are not going to be just checking the ball down to the running back all the time. But yeah, good to your point. Pull up Dylan Sampson's pass catching
7% target share.
There you go. I had a feeling. It would be low.
Not the greatest, right? Tennessee's an up-tempo offense, right? We know how they like to spread everything out and get plays in and keep it fucking moving.
Yep.
So a lot of pass attempts and 20 catches for Mr. Dylan Sampson in that offense, right? And if you just look at, here's the crazy thing. We'll get to this one because I got a little soapbox moment here coming up.
Sure.
But that's less than Kaleb Johnson in a much lower, shittier passing offense. I mean, not up tempo at all, not high volume. I mean, Iowa had games they threw for 89 yards total in the fucking game. So I don't know. Is Dylan Sampson even like a third down threat to Quinshawn, like, at all? Or is he just going to be a change of pace, Kenny Gainwell type? You know what I mean?
it could be either way. I would just what I would say is that their draft capital of him speaks to me that they have a role for him where Quinshon is going to be something different. That's really, really high draft capital when you just already use. I mean, don't get it twisted. Quinshon, for everyone listening, is really, really high draft capital already. So I'm not certain that they're going to lock him into a third down per se. But I also, to me, it just kind of signals where, all right, we want to use Quinshon in a role and Dylan Sampson in a different role. So if it's not third down, that would be interesting. And maybe, Mike, maybe they're not either one of them used on third down. I'll tell you this again. I don't know that Cleveland knows what the fuck they're doing. So let me just stay on that topic.
That was the counterpoint I was going to give you, right? Like not to rain on the Dylan Sampson talk here.
Please do. Everyone does. I need that. I need that resurrection when he crushes it, because I want everyone to be a naysayer. I need it.
This organization drafted a very similar running back with very similar draft capital not too many years ago and had no plan on how to use him in his rookie year, and we barely saw the fucking guy in Jerome Ford. Like, it took a Nick Chubb injury his sophomore year, his second year, before he was anything.
Sure.
I mean, after Jerome Ford's rookie year, I would imagine at this time, Adam, there was a lot of Jerome Ford on waivers. Like when we go through and do our rookie drafts and make all the cuts. Like Jerome Ford was cut. Like nobody gave a shit.
So, R.I.P. when you cut him. Too bad for you.
I'm just saying, Cleveland Browns sometimes I don't know what the fuck's going on.
The only problem with the logic there is that that same point goes right to Quinshon. Like, well, what were they doing here? It's the same problem. Like. I mean, I think in general, Dylan Sampson pick, they have a plan for him. I have no idea what it's going to be though. And Mike, I'm not sitting here telling you that Quinshon couldn't end up being their third down running back. I'm not going to say that couldn't be the case.
To do it.
Sure.
I thought on film
he's rarely been asked to do it, but he can pass catch, and he also looked very good in pass pro. It's just honestly we never saw him use that way that often, really.
Didn't have to, right? And they get his 15 touches, and they give Trev his 15 touches, and that was it. That was the ball game.
Yep. To that point, Mike. Well, if you had anything you wanted to, if you wanted to soapbox on Kaleb Johnson, please feel free before we pivot over to the wide receiver position.
So I'm friends with this guy. All right?
For now. For now.
Maybe. We might not be friends with me afterwards. John McMillan is on this Kaleb Johnson hate train, right? And it almost feels personal as the Iowa guy. If you didn't notice, we went with the black and gold ensemble today. Okay?
Is that Steelers or is it Iowa? What's going on here? I need to know.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's just Iowa professional is the Steelers at this point. I have no idea how I didn't end up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I really don't.
Because you're smarter than being a Squealers fan,
Yeah, I picked the other team in Pennsylvania.
That's true. That's true.
Went to the other side of the state.
It's a long state. Pause.
Yeah. He's been on this Kaleb Johnson hate train. And I've seen things like his most recent tweet, Kaleb Johnson's only good at breaking arm tackles through gaping wide open holes.
Gaping, geesh. I know that hurt, Mike, for sure.
Yeah. Here was another key point that I took away for him. Might not look so good behind the Steelers' average at best offensive line, and he's not going to have a ton of PPR value either.
Ooh.
He's at best my RB5 in this class.
I mean, the crazy part is if you took all the shots away and just took away at best, if you said RB5 in this class, I wouldn't be mad. You know what he is for me? RB5. What? I was gonna say okay. All right. I was gonna say okay. All right, fair.
Right. So he's not. The last part is the only thing that made sense to me. I was like, okay, you hit that part, but everything else, you're taking fucking shots at me. So
you're trying to put chinks in the armor, man. Come on,
John. Here's my Kaleb Johnson counterpoints.
By the way, John's a sweetheart. Okay.
He is. He's a big fucking teddy bear. Here's my counterpoints. Okay. Iowa last year, and Kaleb Johnson in specific, for all of his carries, 80% of them were credited as zone blocking carries.
Jay, if you had no idea who you're talking about, just take one guess and you're probably right, okay?
Pittsburgh last year, out of all their run plays, 70% were zone. So Iowa, Pittsburgh, zone blocking teams. Arthur Smith loves to run the zone.
Match made in heaven.
Kaleb Johnson is a fantastic zone blocking scheme running back for a couple reasons. Now, here's the film. Fantastic vision, fantastic patience, which is paramount in the zone blocking scheme. Here's the other thing that zone runners usually get knocked for. Oh, they just run through arm tackles. Well, there's a reason that they only run through arm tackles. Because when they make that cutback in the zone and they find the one that they need, defenders are all flowing one way and the running backs are running the other way. Arian Foster, one of the best zone running scheme running backs we've ever seen, had the same kind of thing, right?
True.
Doesn't run with enough power, right? Which is one of the reasons he went undrafted.
If you're comping him 1-for-1 to Foster, that's an elite comp. But but you are correct though.
There's a lot of similar traits, okay?
Yeah.
The patience,
like
the vision, and the zone blocking, let's just say acumen that Kaleb Johnson has a lot of Arian Foster shades. It has a lot of Lev Bell shades. He's going to get a lot of arm tackles, right? Even in a very good defensive conference like the Big Ten, right? Some of the best defenses in there, Kaleb Johnson faced week in and week out. Same as Trev, same as Quinshawn. He did it. And he did it to a clip that was so fucking elite within that conference that he's now getting knocked for it, okay? And I don't like this. I don't like this, right? Zone scheme running backs are going to make people miss just because they're in a different direction or they're running a different direction than the defense is flowing, which is what makes them fucking special, which is why you'll hear words like angular style of running, right? He's putting a little geometry into it, man. He's doing the calculations in his head.
I like
He's figuring it out.
Little
he's
Geo.
like Rain Man out there. He's figured it out. So anyways, the scheme is a perfect fit for him, right? He didn't go to a power scheme, and he doesn't have to learn how to run with more power and hit the gap, and here's your hole, and we need you to juke 6 dudes and run them over.
Pause.
He's going to a scheme that he's very fucking familiar with, and he'll be able to transition very well. There's also 299 touches from Najee Harris that are just gone, right? Jalen Warren ain't getting all them touches.
They're waiting for someone to take.
It ain't going to be Jalen Warren taking all 299. Ain't happening. So he's already coming into a situation that fits him. I'm
going to give you something just real quick off topic.
Yeah.
Go look at the BDG Dynasty channel, the thumbnail from today. It's got Jalen Warren on it, and behind him, just all big letters, it says cooked. So
cooked.
You'll love that part.
Yeah. Here's some other things that I wanted to put out there too. Just some advanced data stats, right? Some interesting ones. All he does is run through, arm tackles. Yards after contact per attempt, right? Yards after contact per attempt means once he was touched.
What do we got from there?
Yep. Number 2 out of qualified running backs in this class.
That's pretty good. It means there's only one person, everyone counting, that was better.
You got a guess on who that one is?
I would guess Genty.
You would be correct. You would be correct.
And that's because Mike and I watched that same film session where it's like, how many times did he maybe even have like a 70-yard run after contact? Like, Good night, right?
Nuts. Yep. Top 10 in missed tackles forced. In the entire fucking country. Top 10 in missed tackles forced. For a guy that's, a zone straight line speed kind of guy that, people are trying to box him into, that's pretty fucking good.
Pretty good.
Number 6 in runs of 10 yards or longer. First in the entire country in breakaway run percentage.
Well,
so
both of those speak to what? Stop it with this 40-yard dash bullshit, okay? Right. He's not slow.
Right. Then we get to the pass catching. He was 13th in receiving grade. He was ahead of Genty, Giddens, R.J. Harvey, and basically tied with Amari and Hampton in receiving grade by PFF. The running game as a whole for Iowa, while I do acknowledge they have a fantastic offensive line, right? They were 4th in the entire country rated in PFF for run blocking. The running game, so the grand scheme of what Iowa was calling in the running game, 71st in the fucking country. Not a lot of different. They knew what the fuck they were doing. Zone left, zone right. We know where it's going. Here's the other thing about Iowa that this is the biggest thing. No passing game to speak of. Cade McNamara was fucking dog shit. Brennan Sullivan, God bless his soul, when he came in, at least he could run. He was a mobile quarterback. But we had multiple games. Go look at the stat lines of 80 yards passing, 90 yards passing, 110. It was absolutely fucking abysmal. Everybody that played Iowa knew where the ball was going. It was going to number 2, and they still couldn't stop him. Faced the most stacked boxes in the entire country, right?
I mean, listen, if you watch any Iowa football, you should know it was fairly one-dimensional, Mike, and I think you would even pretty much agree with that. Like, and that meant to me, what I'm saying is, that means we're going to give the ball to 2 and try to get the ball to 2 at all costs, and that was how our offense was good.
And even when we did decide to pass, Kaleb Johnson was 4th on the entire team in targets.
Right, and that very well may end up going back to 2, right? Like
4th on the team in targets, number 1 by a fucking landslide in yards after the catch. Right? Get the ball to Kaleb. Please go get us the first down. We pray to God. And then we're going to come back and we're going to run you once to the left. We're going to run you once to the right. And if you hadn't broken off an 80-yard touchdown by that point, we're going to, throw a dump-off pass to you again. Go get us another first down. We'll try it again next series. This was Iowa's offense in a nutshell. So everything that he said about the missed tackles and the arm tackles, yeah, I do understand, right?
Hi,
and
Chris.
it was my criticism of Kaleb Johnson. For a guy of that frame, there are times I want to see him run with more power. I want to see him Marshawn Lynch somebody every now and then. I'm not asking for it all the time, but put your helmet down and run through a motherfucker's face. Like, please. There are times he's way too patient. He tries to keep finding that home run hole, and he keeps trying to let it develop where he can get his yards. Sometimes on 3rd and 2, I just need you to put your fucking head down, get me the 3 yards, we'll reset and we'll go again. And the other issue that I have with him is while he's a very, very capable receiver, there's nothing to say that he's not a capable receiver. Not the film, not the advanced data, nothing. Nothing to say he's not in a very above average receiving back in the NFL. The only issue I have with him, which John didn't bring up, is his pass pro was not very good. Now, my take on it is, when I put on the film, he's in the right position to pass block. He makes the right read. He's got his head on a swivel. He can pick up blitzers. His technique just sucks. It just sucks. Sometimes he gets out leveraged. Sometimes he just doesn't slide quick enough. He is making the right reads and he's putting the effort into pass pro. The technique is just not there yet, which, by all accounts, unless you're just a piece of shit,
Kaleb Johnson,
player who had no interest in pass blocking, that is something that can be taught. Kaleb, that was a great read. We need you to sink your ass and get lower, right? We need you to cut this linebacker instead of trying to take him head on. We need you to do this. This is something that can be coached up. And if he can coach up that pass pro, this is a 3-down running back workhorse, to which the Pittsburgh Steelers, after they fucking drafted him this week, had come out and said, workhorse, 20 touches, at least. This is what we want from this kid. I don't understand where the criticism is coming from. I'm not advocating to take him in top 5 of your rookie drafts. I'm not saying take him over Amari and Hampton or Genty. I don't even say take him over Quinshawn or Trev.
Right.
All I'm saying for is he is a first-round lock rookie pick at this point.
Yeah.
Has to be.
To me, the conversation starts probably at 107, certainly at 108, and I mean, if you want to take him later, that's fine, but depends on who you're taking him over. No way outside of the first round, Mike. I don't care really what the settings are even, honestly.
Last one I had, too. He said Steelers' offensive line was, average at best. PFF had him ranked number 9 in the NFL last year, run blocking grades. So, also, false. False.
Mike, I like the rant. I had it's really interesting, actually. So, thinking about pivoting to the receiver position here, there's a lot to get through for the receivers. I think, honestly, we're 38 minutes in. We might go running backs and wide receivers today, and we might go quarterbacks and tight ends in a further day.
That's fair.
And if we get to it prior to that, fine. But Mike, you know how we do it, man. We gotta get it off of our chest, and we gotta talk about some of the things I think that were really most interesting. Mike, here's one that I was incredibly intrigued by. Right now, this is before the draft took place. I was watching Steve Smith and James Palmer. Shout out to other great content creators and obviously former great NFL player, breaking down film on Luther Burden. And some of the stuff they were saying to me, not that I didn't necessarily already know it, but the way they were talking about it, I was super intrigued. Then I'm listening to, if you don't know, Luther Burden goes early day 2 to Chicago, right? So I'm listening to Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson talking about their total draft after the draft's over. And I was like, there's no way that those two things matched up in what both these guys are saying. And to me, it's really intriguing. So I'm just going to play I clipped this up. It's about 3 minutes. So strap in, and then Mike, we'll do what we do. All right. So here, maybe.
I think he's a good football player. But I also think they force feed him. They've allowed him to run so many routes at the expense of other receivers on the team, which has hampered their draft status, which has increased his draft status.
He was one of the biggest recruits, Steve, that Mizzou's had recently. I mean, he was like a 5-star, I believe. And they needed him to recruit some other guys. What position does that usually put you in as the player on campus? If you're needed to bring on, can you do whatever you want? Usually.
Yeah.
Do they kind of let you do whatever you want?
Absolutely.
Sometimes. Really kind of fascinating. Completely different player with the ball in his hands compared to when he's running the route. And that was said to me by more than one wide receiver coach in the league that I asked. It was funny, Steve, honestly, because there was like one receiver coach who was like, I wish he ran routes the way he ran with the ball in his hands because he'd be a way better player.
You're gonna walk into OTAs with a ton of weapons to work with as an offense. We were talking with Ryan last night about managing feeding all those mouths, keeping all those guys happy, invested, engaged, and juiced. What is the challenge for you as a head coach of creating the environment so all that can mesh together?
Listen, we talked about it. The moment the players got back into the building, call it 3 weeks ago now, it was going to be a competitive environment. There is no depth chart right now. If you want to play, you got to go earn it. If you want a role, you got to go earn it. They know that. So we were very straightforward and honest with them when they came into the building. I think all we did this weekend was we might have just turned up the notch, just a couple of dials for certain people in the building. So that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing. That's where you bring out the best, not only in your team, but in each individual. So what I'm going to be curious to see is what guys look like when the ball's not in their hands on offense. Okay? Yeah, you're right. We have a lot of weapons. And so how are you going to run your route when you might not be number one in the progression? Okay? How are you going to block for your teammate when he has the ball? Because if you do those things right, then as a coaching staff, we're going to want to get you the ball a little bit more. So it all ties together. It all goes hand in hand, and that's the beauty behind it.
Anyway, I honestly, Mike, I didn't, even when watching the polls interview, expect to even think about that. And it was just interesting to hear Ben Johnson talk about that. I don't even think any of that still, to me, where I view it as, I think all that kind of makes sense. One part of the interview, I didn't want to make it too exhausting, was they said how if you do a deeper dive on Luther, he's a great point guard. And it's like he loves to have the ball in his hands, right? So it makes sense. Curious what your thoughts are on that in general, the idea from clip to clip there.
Well, the interesting one is when Steve Smith said, like, at the behest of other wide receivers or other talent on that team. I'm trying to figure out what other talent was on that Missouri team. Like, what?
Well, you're certainly not going to know if you feel like
Jr. Was that it?
I mean, you're certainly not going to know if you feel like they're funneling the ball to Luther. To your point, but I mean,
was it the quarterback that didn't get drafted? That guy, that talent.
I mean, I do like we can take it to the off the rail part of like the point of the conversation that doesn't actually matter, but we can do that if you want, you know.
But that's the one that sticks to me. I'm like, this was the best player on your fucking offense. Of course, you get him the ball all the time, right? And of course, he's going to demand the ball. Like, I'd be more upset with a wide receiver who doesn't want the fucking ball. Yeah, like Steve Smith. Do you think when he was at any point in his fucking career was like, nah, throw it to this guy? Like, I don't want the ball.
Well, I think trying to. I'm not worried about any of the people in Missouri, but I think the whole idea here is that there was a part. And that's one of those things where if you clip things, you miss context, right? And I think the idea was there was times at Missouri when if he doesn't get the ball, you see the body language problem. Like, oh, I'm supposed to get the ball. Well, dude, with all due respect to him, he's a great player, easily the best player over there. He should be expecting the ball every time. That offense wasn't going to win just if we just got him the ball every time. Now, it may be the best place for it to go. But
and to me, right, we sat down and we watched game cut-ups, right, all 22 of him and Tet. right? And anybody who's in here who watched those with us, when the ball wasn't going to Luther Burden, at least to me, I thought he put in good effort. Now, when I watched Tet, none, gave zero fucks, didn't give a shit at all. Like some of the most abysmal attempts at blocking on run plays that I've ever seen from a wide receiver. He gave zero shits whatsoever. I watched Luther Burden like just get pissed off at cornerbacks and want to fight him, right? Like, I hope the ball isn't going to my side just so I can fucking hit you as hard as I possibly can. Like, I like that from a wide receiver. I didn't see the whole diva thing, like the whole ball's not coming to me. I'm going to sulk over here. I'm going to half-ass this, this route over here. There are some things about Luther Burden that had concerns, right? Like full route tree for sure.
Yeah,
like for
definitely.
me, full route tree. He is so good with the ball in his hands, and I do agree to that point. Like if he ran his routes like he does when he has the ball in his hands all the time,
be great.
Fucking nightmare.
He could be exactly what he was, the 5-star 101 in the class, right?
But I mean, a lot of fucking college wide receiver scouting I've done over the last couple of years. I don't know many wide receivers that run full fucking speed on every route when they know it ain't coming to them, right? Like all the time. I don't know, man. I guess I just don't see a lot of the criticism that Steve Smith was doling out. But I do understand it from the Bears' perspective, where it's like, hey, this is a guy who we want to get the ball into his hands, but he's going to have to be okay with run blocking. We're comfortable when we took him that he was going to be that guy who was okay being the decoy at times, who wasn't going to get the ball all the time. So interesting that, that was the acknowledgement from college, but apparently the Bears in interviewing, which I assume that they sat down and they talked to him pretty fucking extensively before they decided to select him, were like, is this going to be an issue for you? Kind of similar to last year on Hard Knocks when, Dable and Shane were kind of grilling Malik Neighbors about, how his effort was going to be if he wasn't getting the ball, or how he was going to do if they were losing or behind. So
right.
Kind of two interesting viewpoints there. And, a lot of guys I imagine playing at Missouri, it is an SEC school, but it's not like an elite one.
Sure.
It's not competing for national championships. Are going to kind of have a little bit of a diva mentality. I'm the best fucking player on this team. Give me the ball and get it to me all the time.
Well, and I mean, I think the reason it's important is whether you agree with it or not. Like, I don't think James Palmer, Steve Smith are talking about it, and then the first thing Ben Johnson says kind of almost right away gets to that topic. They all know. I think the Bears know, and they're challenging him, right? I think they know how much talent he has, and they believe they can get that out of him. They're not taking him there because they're worried about that with him. They've acknowledged that it is a problem, and they want, not even directly to him, but to everyone in the room, they're saying that, right? Because, like, if you're in Missouri and you don't get the ball, of course, you should be pissed, and he's probably rightfully served to be like, yeah, I should have the ball. You can't come into this room with DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, and they just drafted a tight end ahead of you, too, and say, like, I need the ball every time, right? So, to me, it's just regardless of what you think of it, the jump from how he's been managed to high school, right, being the number one guy on his team easily, in college, being the number one guy on his team easily, to now, like, third or fourth option out of the gates, not saying he couldn't develop into higher than that. To me, I felt like that was a really interesting part of the game for him specifically, that is going to be something that the best part is he has all the control over it, right? It's literally him that has all the control over it. But I thought it was a really, really interesting dynamic Mike, I'm just watching different things. I wasn't even expecting them to tie together and to be like that. So that was just one of the more interesting parts about it, where it's at least acknowledged from coaching staff and prior that it shouldn't be, I guess, anything that's new news, but over there it is. And I think here's the thing, right? Because all those mouths are there to be fed, Mike, we talked about this with Rome, with DJ Moore, with Colson Loveland, with Luther Burden. That puts their offense in an unbelievable situation, but for fantasy, leaves some murky waters for who we want and who we don't want. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
I think the chat's on to something, though. Like, now looking back in hindsight, this feels more directed at DJ Moore than it does Luther Burden. Like this is acknowledging
it absolutely could be directed at DJ Moore. I 100% agree.
Because DJ Moore is the one for Ryan Poles was there. Obviously, Ben Johnson wasn't. But you remember last year, DJ Moore just walked off the fucking field right to the bench mid-play and just said, I'm good.
Yep.
Ball's not coming to me. I'm out. Right? And this kind of acknowledges that, hey, we drafted a kid. We're going to acknowledge the fact that he has some of your tendencies. But if he buys in and he's going to go, 100% and he doesn't care whether or not he gets the ball and he's still going to go out there and block and do all these other things, DJ Moore, your time here is very, very short, my friend. So you better also get your shit together because this is what we're looking for.
Oh, wow. I didn't expect this either. Mr. B says, I'm pretty sure Burden said he didn't talk to the Bears at all in his presser. That's kind of interesting.
Damn. All right.
That's really interesting. No, what you know what? One other part actually about the Bears that was really crazy, Mike. They're the only team that I can think of. I think I'm frozen, kind of, but just bear with me. Mike, the one thing that they mentioned is that they basically drafted like it was Superflex. They took value. They didn't draft position. They stuck at their board and just took best overall player, regardless of position every time. So that's how I ended up with Loveland, and they basically didn't take a running back until round 7.
Yeah, just as a whole for the Bears, you fucking absolutely hate it for fantasy football purposes. I thought it was a horrible draft for us, Dynasty and fantasy players. Good draft for them for the NFL, right? Like them being able to go out and really make that offense and invest in Caleb Williams, and we're going to fucking find out if he's our franchise guy for sure, and we're going to give him every ability to show that. There's going to be no excuse for it. But for fantasy purposes, fucking Bears, I don't understand it. Stupid draft. Fucking idiots.
Yeah. Adam, is it your Wi-Fi? I wish it was. I have my Wi-Fi turned off now, Jay. It's my camera. We've had ever since the draft, Mike, the cameras have been just brutal.
It's a lot of overheating.
I know. It's been a lot of camera action. You guys should have to do without my face for a second while I try to figure it out. Mike, what did you think of other receivers, though? I don't want to just take the entire thing with Luther Burden. I just thought that was really interesting to bring up. But start at the top here. Tet, Travis Hunter. Where are you at with the other receivers in the class?
Travis Hunter and Tet, not a whole lot of movement, right? They got the draft capital that we kind of expected, so good for them. I put both those guys in tier 1, even though I will say I'm always taking Travis Hunter before Tet every single draft.
So am I.
No question.
So am I.
No question. But Tet deserves to be in that top 5 conversation, 4 or 5. I can see a scenario for if you wanted to take Tet over Amari and Hampton, for example. Like that's not crazy hot take at all. So he deserves to be in that conversation. Matthew Golden got the draft capital. I didn't really like the player, but first round draft capital to the Packers. It's going to mean something. So just kind of by default, he's my wide receiver 3 because the other first round wide receiver in Egbuka, not that I hate him. I thought he was a pretty decent wide receiver. He's a great slot wide receiver. I just don't understand the path to meaningful dynasty value within the next couple of years. Like it seems very, very hard. And we have drafted guys in what we thought were poor situations before. And then, like you think back to A.J. Brown when he went to play with Marcus Mariota, who couldn't fucking throw a football for shit, right? And then all of a sudden in steps Ryan Tannehill, and all of a sudden A.J. Brown really, really fucking good, right?
Right.
This one just feels so much different because I don't know if we've seen a pair of wide receivers on the team already and a guy they drafted last year in Jalen McMillan that would convolute this so fucking much, right? I was listening to a little bit of Debro and Seth Wolcock on a Fantasy Pros podcast today, and they basically got 4 slot wide receivers on this fucking team right now, and it's like, who the fuck is going to learn to play outside? Like, who's going to be the dude on the outside now? Like, Mike Evans is, for sure.
Yeah.
But who's the other guy, right? We've tried Chris Godwin outside. Didn't go so well. Wasn't that good. When he moved back to the slot, that's when he blew up last year and was fucking amazing. Jalen McMillan's also a guy who's much better on the slot. When I comped him coming out, it was more like a diet JSN is kind of what he profiled as. He's got the same fucking game. He's much better in the slot. Egbuka, slot guy, needs to be in the slot. Like you want him to do some of the Luther Burden type shit, right? We were just watching. You want him to catch those drag routes and then use his ability after the catch. And then they drafted Tez Johnson for whatever goddamn reason, 4th round, like that 150-pound wide receiver. He ain't playing on the outside. Okay. He just ain't fucking playing on the outside.
Why are we doing that?
Yeah, we got 4 slot wide receivers on this fucking team with, 2 of them being young, and then the other one they decided to re-up their contract, before the NFL draft and sign them to a long-term deal. And then I don't even know if it really matters if Mike Evans is done in the next year or two, which probably might happen, might not happen. It's fucking Mike Evans. He might play for another 6 years and put up 1,000 yards every single year.
He might just do it year after year forever.
And listen, man, with Mike Evans too, like, this doesn't get brought up enough. I don't really care what the age is. I think Mike Evans has like a lifetime contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with what he means to that organization. Like, this is a guy walking into the fucking Hall of Fame at this point. Like, that's a fan favorite. He can just name his price every single year on how long he wants to play for the Buccaneers. So I don't even know if he's going to move on, but even if he does, it's like, I still don't know who the fuck like the primary slot guy is. So that's the thing that hurts with Egbuka. You love the fact that he got taken in the first round, and I want to rank him higher. Just his path to meaningful dynasty value just seems so fucking absurd to me. I don't know where to rank him. I don't know what the fuck to do. So it just feels like by default, even though I don't like Golden as much, I didn't like Golden as much as I did Egbuka in the pre-draft process. I'm like, I can see him getting meaningful touches because most of that Green Bay wide receiver room is dog shit. Like, he's going to go out and play. He doesn't have to overcome a Chris Godwin or a Mike Evans to get meaningful snaps. So
this is a good point by Jake. Actually, I wanted to highlight this too because Egbuka is like the newest version, right? But JSN, Roma Dunze basically had the same thing with they brought in Keenan Allen, then they drafted more, right? And I think they didn't draft DJ Moore. They drafted more target competition, all right, for those that might try to, spite the name that I was talking about. I think this is a good thing to think about. Like, there might be more situations like this, and every situation is not going to be the same. So we can't like blanket statement this. I think is part of the reality, right? Even if you want to, you can't blanket statement it. For me, why I put Egbuka at 3, Mike, acknowledging everything you said, because I don't think any of the concerns you brought up are wrong. Like, I don't think they're wrong at all. I'm betting on the talent of Egbuka. Now, to that point, I don't think Egbuka is as talented as JSN. I don't think he's as talented as Rome. But I do think he's a damn talented player in his own right. And I think a lot of Egbuka also, the reason he is not viewed as this crazy high talent, he's always been in like the shadows of one of these crazy highly talented guys at Ohio State. If he's coming out of anywhere but Ohio State, Mike, I think Egbuka could be in the same breath as a Tet, in the same breath as anyone in this class that's not Travis Hunter. So to me, I actually lean into that a little bit where maybe Egbuka is actually just really good receiver. And if you put him around other really good receivers, he's going to be damn good. It just might go under the radar a little bit. So to me, that's where there's definitely some short-term things to be worried about, but long-term, and even sometimes in the short term, I think Egbuka could be just fine.
Maybe he'll end up being good on the outside. Like, maybe that's the play.
True.
Like, that's the path to all of a sudden, oh, damn, Egbuka can play outside. He's just played in the slot at Ohio State because they've had really good outside wide receivers. The only thing I'll always say is the JSN situation twofold you already touched. I don't think he's as talented as JSN was coming out. But the JSN going to a team that had DK and Tyler Lockett, JSN walked right into the slot role right off the rip, though. Like, that was already open for him.
Sure.
Right? Tyler Lockett played on the outside. DK obviously plays on the outside. The Egbuka situation's different for me because kind of like Luther Burden, like, you're already going to a team that has an established guy in front of you that has the exact fucking role that you excel at. So unless you can change your stripes a little bit, which could happen, right? Maybe Egbuka learns how to play on the outside and, oh shit, he's actually pretty good out there. Like, he's pretty decent. He's a good number 2 wide receiver on the outside too. He doesn't always have to be in the slot. That could happen. I just don't know necessarily if it will. And it felt like Tampa Bay was just getting a little too fucking cute with it. Like, they were just, like, if Egbuka ends up going to if Emeka Egbuka goes to fucking Green Bay, he's my wide receiver 3, no question about it. Like, no fucking qualms.
Correct.
No qualms. If he goes to the Chargers in the first round, wide receiver 3, no fucking question, right? Because he walks into a role, you're like, boom, you can have this one, right? You go to a place with 2 guys that were really fucking good last year and really good the year before, and one of them has to play in the slot in Chris Godwin. It's like, fuck, man.
But you know what's great? You know what's crazy,
Why'd
though?
you do this to us?
Well, here, look. Who put this in here? Oh, yeah, here we go. Scares me that the new OC might try to move Godwin back outside. That's
God, I hope. That fucking could be the death sentence for Chris Godwin, man.
that would be that. You imagine if we had the track record that says just keep the motherfucker in the slot and they try to put him back outside?
Every time they put him outside, it's miserable. It's not that great.
It's just
and
not.
Then every time
Exactly.
they put him in the slot, he fucking feasts and eats.
He goes crazy. He goes crazy.
But NFL coaches sometimes just do stupid shit, right? They do stupid shit because they want to do stupid shit.
And because they get in their own way a lot of times, Mike. They just decide they want to do this and that, and that's what they go with.
And that could be the path too, right? They put Chris Godwin on the outside, and oh my God, Egbuka takes off.
Watching Egbuka go crazy, and that's what to me. I think in this class also, there's so many question marks about a lot of these guys after we get past Travis Hunter and probably Tet. And I have question marks about Tet, but I'll put him ahead. Obviously, that's not a discussion. So for me, there's a lot of question marks to say. I don't know that we're coming out of year one, any of these guys, even in rosy situations, looking all great. So for me, it's like I'm going to live a little bit in the uncertainty of year one and bet on the talent for now and the future with Egbuka. That's why I still have him at 3. Even though I get it, Mike. Anybody that does not love this situation, it's warranted. It makes sense. For me, I'm betting on him developing and becoming what I want on my team in year 2 and year 3. And I think last year at the receiver position is going to warp and fuck people's brains up, y'all. That's not normal what happened last year. That's not how people produce. Most wide receiver classes look nothing like that. So just mind yourself that there's a chance that most of these receivers don't produce, like even wide receiver 2s, frankly. So just be ready for that, okay?
How about this, though? One of the biggest risers, one of my favorites, and I couldn't have asked for better fucking draft capital at all. Jayden fucking Higgins, man. Jayden Higgins goes to the perfect fucking spot for him, too. You know, we had that early comp, and this one's going to stick with me forever. When I watched Jayden Higgins before the combine, I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, man, it's kind of like Mike Thomas coming out of Ohio State. That's what it is.
Ooh.
Like that size, that build, that ability to run the fucking slant and get that quick separation.
Just very, very good separator for the lack of speed overall. Yeah, I love that.
And I'm not even saying Mike Thomas NFL usage where they coined him slant boy. Yeah, with a hyper target him just on slant. He wasn't just slant boy because he could get his ass downfield and moss somebody. Like he was a perfect, like, damn, man, if Jayden Higgins gets in the right situation, it could be awesome. And then the combine happens. He goes out and he performs at the combine. And all of a sudden, all the athletic comps are Nico Collins. And that wasn't a comp I was even having. And now you see the athletic comps of Nico Collins, and I go back to when we watched film on him, and I go, that is like Nico Collins. That is like Nico Collins coming out. But I think way more refined than Nico was coming out, right? Because he was in an offense that threw him the fucking football. Nico had to suffer through Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. Right? You didn't get to see him in a passing offense, which is why he didn't get the draft capital. But now he goes and he plays opposite Nico Collins, his doppelganger, essentially. He plays with a pocket passer in C.J. Stroud who's accurate and shows a propensity to push the ball down the fucking field. Yeah. And he gets this whole the guy who's taken over as OC for the Texans, this is what I brought up with the Woody Marks thing, is a direct descendant, worked under Sean McVay, was the passing game coordinator for the Rams. And you're sitting there and you're going, Puka, Kupp, Nico, Higgins? I fucks with this, man. Jayden, in the draft capital, first pick of the second round, like putting your nuts on the fucking table, pick 34.
Early.
Or dude, second pick.
Tell me that wasn't early. Tell me that wasn't early. I thought that was. I did not expect him going that early, dude. I really.
This is the guy that we fucking want. We don't know if Tank Dell's playing football this year. Stephon Diggs we let walk. We have Nico Collins and a bunch of nothing. That's it.
Where do you put him? Where do you put him?
Walks right in. He's wide receiver 4 for me.
Okay, so you have him over Egbuka, and then do you have him over Trey Harris too? Then I imagine.
Yes. Now the only Trey Harris got a fantastic landing spot too. Yeah. My only issue, and this is a separator and why I put him in 2 different tiers, Trey Harris, because I love Trey Harris pre-draft too, like I do. And the draft capital is not bad, also second-round pick. The only reason that I have him too is because I trust Houston's passing volume way more than I trust the Chargers passing volume.
Especially with what did they do? The reason I'm a little more bullish on Hampton than most, not even just first round, Mike. What did they rebuilt the entire offense last year, and early they tried to run, right? Obviously, they started throwing more. But what did they just do? They drafted a fucking first-round running back. Like,
yes.
They very well may go closer to what we saw in the early part of the year where Harbaugh wants to do what, y'all? Establish it. To the tune. So people are worried about J.J. McCarthy's volume out of college because that's how much they ran.
So this was my concern last year with Justin Herbert, right? Jim Harbaugh and his history with running offenses, and then they bring in Greg Roman. And any Ravens fan out there, our good friend Thomas Tibble is a Ravens fan. Greg Roman could not devise a passing offense to save his fucking life in Baltimore, right? And listen, it is perfectly fine if you're the number one wide receiver on a Greg Roman passing offense. It fucking blows if you're the number 2 or 3 guy.
We've yet to see a 2. We've yet to see a 2 of relevance. Right.
We have we've yet to see one. Then the other thing, towards the end of the year, the Chargers started ramping up their pass rate. They did, right? And they got them into the playoffs. When they really ramped it up in the fucking playoffs, you watched Justin Herbert have a massive fucking meltdown in a Greg Roman passing offense in the playoffs. Absolutely fucking abysmal.
So much so people are saying he can't do anything in the playoffs now, right?
Which is exactly how they ended their season, Adam. And then to your point, what do? Come fucking off season. They signed Najee Harris to a cheap deal, already saying, hey, we're going to give ourselves some insurance in the running game. And then the NFL draft comes, and the first fucking thing they do is go take a first-round running back and listen, we just watched what happened with Justin when we tried to put too much on his plate and try to get him to carry this team in the playoffs.
Let's give him a salad-sized plate again, right? Let's give him the salad plate at dinner. You know what? Because all it reminds me is that when they had the chance at 5, what'd they do? They took a fucking Joe Alt delete. Like,
yes.
Yikes. Yikes.
Yeah, so that's the only difference. I love Trey Harris, the player. It's good draft capital, right?
Good.
So I'm still going to rank him high, but he's in that tier with Luther Burden where it's like he's ahead of Luther Burden for me, but it's like, fuck, man, I don't know how much I'm going to trust Greg Roman to give me a number 2 wide receiver worth of shit for the first time in his career.
We need to give Trip Crown like the ultimate troll, tag here.
Massive news. Adam, one more wide receiver that moved up massively for me and late riser. God damn it. I should have listened to DB and Matty Kiwoom a lot earlier on this guy.
No.
Kyle fucking Williams. Kyle Williams landed in the Patriots.
Can I tell you,
the de facto number 1.
He's high for me too. And I'll tell you, Mike, speaking of Steve Smith, I didn't clip it because I didn't want to put too much. Do you know this is the first person Steve Smith's ever compared to himself? And for these greats, they don't like to compare these young kids to themselves ever. It's hard for them to do.
Adam, I got him up at wide receiver 8 now. So
dude, I just put him at 7. I put him at 7.
I could believe it. But the only issue I'll say, Adam, and you'll know this because we got a history together for a long time.
Is it the DC?
You and I have an archetype sometimes when it comes to wide receivers.
Yes. Okay. Fine. You got me.
We have an archetype. And when we put the Kyle Williams film on, I'm sitting there going,
holy fuck.
This feels exactly what Adam and I always gravitate to. And our track record is like 50-50 on these motherfuckers.
It's not horrible, but it stings every time it hurts. It stings deep, right? It's just...
For every time...
When we miss, we whiff. We whiff.
For every time we rightfully hyped up Deontay Johnson, right? In the early part, when he was dominating, we hit that one, right?
Now he's in Cleveland's clusterfuck while Elijah Moore's out of town.
Rookie year, Jahan Dotson, we hit that one. Everything after
because he got touchdowns. Because everything else was shitty.
And then Jayden Reed a couple years ago, usage has been fucking abysmal, and now you and I are both like, we just don't want to deal with it. But
I'll at least say, hey, I was on record all last year. Sell this fucking guy.
All I'm saying is if you're a wide receiver that's about 5'11", 190, and you move a certain way.
And you got a twitch about you.
Adam and I will gravitate towards you.
You got that little twitch? I get a little twitch. I get a little twitch downstairs, you know?
I'm not shitting you. We put that film on, and I was like, I want to see what this Kyle Williams is about. I don't really know shit about him other than DB and Matty keeps hyping him up. And I put that fucking film on, and we're about 3 minutes into it, and I went, oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. I see Deontay Johnson. I see Jayden Reed. I see John
It's like if you had that girlfriend that broke your heart, but you keep going back and you're like, I think that's her again. And you're going to just date her. And it's the same story every time. You just keep doing it.
I'm ready
to be hurt. Exactly.
Ready to be hurt again.
You know what? It's been too long. We're going back. Yep.
I'm taking Kyle Williams at the probably just universally back half of the second round anywhere that I can. And the beauty of it is sleeper ADP is so far fucking behind. He is buried on that ADP list. So sometimes you get him in the fucking late third. Stupid good. Stupid good.
The one thing, though, honestly, Mike, this class, listen, right? The 107, 108, I think, is a tier break. We've talked about that. And the second round, it starts dipping. But the one thing is, Mike, I think about you got a good full two rounds, and early third possibly. You're going to like what you're taking there. I really believe. Like, you're going to like the player. It does start to thin out pretty quick because the running back depth, man, to kind of round out the two here, it just is gross. And honestly, much past here, like for me, I got, I like Jack Beck. I like Jalen Noel. But I start to get thin in the wide receiver department where I care, shortly after Kyle Williams, frankly. It's not that I don't like Torrey Horton, right? It's not that I'm good, man. Mike, I've been down the path of, caring too much about these late round receivers to best ball, shoot a dart, fine. Outside of that, like, I don't care all that much past, Jack Beck and Jalen Noel, frankly. Not that I won't take my shot, and I can acknowledge there's reasons to like some of the other guys. I'm just kind of good after about wide receiver 11 in this class.
I got in total between the two. Right, and it's just kind of weird how this lines up. When I hit tier 4 on running backs, when I hit tier 4 on wide receivers, when those tiers run out, everybody else is just in a jumbled fucking mess of
disgusting.
I'll pick one of you at some point, right? Like
I'm only picking you because I got no other options,
Right, and for me, like the cutoff is DJ Giddens for me at running back, and Jalen Royals for me. And Jalen Royals at wide receiver for a lot of people may not be in there. I just love the fucking kid's game. Sure. I see a potential Rashee Rice replacement.
But aren't you at that point?
Stopgap.
Yeah, but aren't you at that point? You're saying, hey, that's my flavor in this top of this tier, right?
And that's it. Yeah, and then I'm done. Like after that, I'm done. I love Torrey Horton. I think A.O. Manor's got some like potential, right? It's just the draft capital wasn't sexy for either one of those guys. The situation's not the greatest. I'm just going like, if I get you, I get you. If I don't, who gives a fuck? Like, okay. Am I really that much worth up? For example, like A.O. Manor's 13th for me. But is there really that much difference between me taking him where I got to take him or taking another one of my guys in like the 5th round and Jimmy Horn Jr. just because of the vibes? Like, I just want Jimmy Horn to be successful.
No.
It's the same shit. Who cares?
Honestly, I have A.O. Manor at 17, and that's
there you go.
I don't feel like it's horrible. I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Fuck it.
Mike, how about some questions? I got a few starred questions, so if you've been sitting on some, we'll do that.
Any 10 teams.
We'll be in and out of that, and we're gonna get on our merry way. We're gonna talk quarterback position. We're gonna talk tight end position next week. And if you do have any questions, now's the time. All right. There probably will be some 10-team, but I'm definitely not starting with one. Sorry. Not sorry. 12-team, start 9. Superflex, full PPR, no tight end premium. Would you trade Judkins plus 111 for A-Chain?
No chance.
I will tell you this. I would not do this. I was actually kind of going through. I overhauled my entire ranks, not just my rookie ranks. Like, that was kind of a long process, man. Inserting them all in. And what I came out of it with this A-Chan thing, Mike, so I have Hampton ahead of him right now, straight up. Off the rip, I have Hampton ahead of A-Chan. And to the point, I have A-Chan at 6, and I have Trev and Quinshawn at 11 and 12. Is there some difference? Only because I've seen it from A-Chan. But honestly, like, there's not a lot of difference here. So the 111, even in this class, when I'll acknowledge there's a tier break there, I'm not doing that. Like, I personally don't – I don't think A-Chain's secure enough, Mike, for me to actually make this tier up. It's not that I don't have a problem tiering up. I need to go higher at running back, or I'm just staying away, personally. I'm good. I'd rather the 2.
You're paying 2 first for a running back. Because in reality, I just gave you a soliloquy on how much I love Kaleb Johnson, and you can sometimes get Kaleb Johnson at the 111. Like,
sure.
So am I trading Judkins and Kaleb for A-Chan? I'd rather take the 2 shots.
Well, what if you could have what wouldn't you rather have Judkins, and what if it was even the 111, and let's say you had to trade a second or a third to secure Kaleb Johnson? Wouldn't you rather have those? Wouldn't you rather have Judkins and Kaleb there? I would.
Yeah, I'd rather have the two than just the one. And this isn't like a shot at HN. We've seen him be good, for a couple years now. But nah, I'm good, man. Just even in a start 9, give me the 2 running backs with pretty good profiles, good draft capital, with going to get volume for the most part. And I'll take those 2 shots on them.
Am I ready to contend in the second part? Am I ready to contend worry my team is too young? Here's what I'll say, right? On the surface, I think that worry is warranted. But this is one of those teams that I probably wouldn't try to get over my skis as far as forcing away from these young players. I'd let it kind of play out the first few weeks. And if I'm in the mix and I feel like I'm ready to go, then I would start pushing my chips in, so to speak, towards contending, maybe moving some of these younger players for vets. There's just no need to do it right now. You have the more valuable pieces at the moment. So unless the trade is warranting that, I'm just holding on until we get closer to the year.
You are built for the offseason. And this is how you want to be built in the offseason. You want to be invested in young assets that people are excited about, right? Because until about August, the shit that's on your team, the draft picks included, is what everybody wants. Everybody in your league wants that shit. What they don't want, old crusty vets. But kind of to Adam's point, when you start to get that switch starts to get flipped and we start to get to contending season, maybe you can pick up some vets for dirt cheap, right? Or maybe you can head into the season in the first couple of weeks and see, man, did May take another step forward? Am I starting him and Herbert? Like, we're doing pretty well here. Oh, man, Marv is back. Marv is back to, like, cooking, and his dynasty values coming up. Rome is looking better. And all of a sudden, this team is sitting there at 3-1 with still all the pieces that everybody wants. And now you can get a little bit more aggressive where you go,
boom.
All right, Jayden Reed, not really going to start for me. Still got some dynasty value because he just had a 30-point week, followed by 2-point weeks or whatever it is. Maybe I trade him for Mike Evans plus, because Mike is still out here just being solid. I can slot him into wide receiver 3. Those are the kind of moves then you start to do. But there's also the counterpoint, which is it sucks to not be in contention, right? You get into early in the season and your young guys really haven't taken that step forward, and you start 0-3, you start 0-4 or whatever it is. You just can't get those wins going. Like, well, I still got the young assets, though. Like, we're still good. We're just pushing this contention to 2026. And you don't have to struggle to get old, crusty dudes off your fucking team before they die.
With you. We're in lockstep here. One thing I will say is I don't know, my camera's just acting a fool. You are carrying too much at quarterback 3 in my personal estimation. That would be the one thing I personally would try to maneuver. Now, Mike, if this was a quarterback horde scenario, I might be a little more like I need to get full boat. But I think if I could rearrange Love or Herbert or May as my quarterback 3, that would be the one thing. But yeah, everything we just said.
Ideally, what I would do, at the 111, if Kaleb was gone or whatever, perfect Jackson Dart spot. Now I take Jackson Dart as my QB3 and I move a Herbert or a Love.
There's a very good call. Now I like that too.
So you got Quinshawn, you got your QB3, and then you can move Herbert. And what you can move Herbert or Love for is probably going to be just as good or if not better than HN, and you're probably going to get a plus on top, to be completely honest. So I'd rather do that move.
I love that call. I love that call you just put up there, Mike. What's good, fellas? 104 or James Cook and Tyreek Hill?
Give me the 4. 104.
I'm with you. And here, can I tell you why especially? I talked about this earlier, Mike. 104 to me is the pick I'd love to have, Mike, because I have seen Cam Ward go at 104. And if it's not Cam Ward, you know what I've seen every time? I love Hampton. I love Travis Hunter. There's nobody at 104 that I'm like, fuck, how'd I get stuck here? 104 is outside of having 101 and just your pick of the litter and potentially trading it for a haul, 104 is the pick I want the most in this class because there is no way to go wrong here.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Tyreek, 7th round startup ADP. James Cook, 5th round. Your 104 is pretty solidly at the beginning of the 3rd. So if you're just looking at that as a startup trade, you're trading the 3rd back to the 5th and the 7th. But here's the thing. You're taking all the risk with the old players, and you're taking all that risk in beginning of May.
Well, Mike, what do we just the same principle talked about in the last trade carries over right here. I might do this, Mike, in the early part of the year. Yeah, exactly. Right now, take a fucking walk, my guy. No. Get the fuck out of here. No way.
Right, because, there's For example, we don't know what this James Cook contract situation is, right? Even though he produced on the field, and he very well could do it again next year. We don't know what the contract situation is. We don't know if there's going to be a camp holdout, or that maybe they try to phase him out and give Ray Davis more playing time, or they trade his ass, or whatever the fuck happens. And then Tyreek Hill is an old wide receiver who has a history of times of in the offseason kind of being a loose fucking cannon and getting himself into some hot water, right? So while he has a 7th round ADP right now, Tyreek Hill gets hit with a domestic violence fucking charge or something bad. All of a sudden, Tyreek Hill's in jeopardy of not playing in 2025, and he's 30. Like, fuck. You know what I mean? That 7th rounder goes poof, gone. No one gives a shit anymore.
Yeah. I will say, Redwards, I know what you're trying to do. You're not going to get me to bite, okay?
No.
But what I will do is mock you. 10-team, 1-quarterback league. Start 4 tight ends, Mike. Would you take Warren or Ward there?
I'd orphan the league.
You know what? I'm not fucking leaving. Ward. Fuck you.
So even in 1 QB, you're like,
Absolutely.
I still ain't taking the fucking time.
And 10-team.
I don't give a shit.
14-team, Superflex, start 9, PPR. Defending champ with the 111. How does that work? How'd you get to 111? Like, you have the 111 as well? Or, like, there's some kind of crazy effed up thing here where you get the 111 for winning? Actually, that would be kind of cool, though, right? Now, you get the 111 because you won the game. I kind of don't hate that. I don't know if that's actually it, though, Patty. Give me some clarity. I'm not sure this makes sense. JD5 and Lamar. JD5, is that what we're calling him now?
Just call him Jayden, man. He deserves it.
You can call him whatever you want. I'm just curious.
Like
Carried
LeBron.
me, but I'm a bit
Just gets one
thin.
name.
I'm a bit thin at running back. Not sure if Dart would be there, but would you take him due to scarcity or swing at RB? Well,
Dart.
14 team, it's easily Dart because of the scarcity going way up. I don't think Dart makes it there personally. If he does, though, I'm taking him for sure.
Hypothetically speaking, we had a 14-team start 9 like this. How high are you taking Jackson Dart in your rookie draft?
The conversation would start like probably 105, 6, 7, like somewhere there. I mean, definitely well before 111, right?
In 12-team leagues, my conversation starts for him at 106. I think in a 14-team,
105, 104,
104, 105. To be honest,
yeah,
right.
I'd probably,
especially because it's a start 9, Adam. Especially because you know how much quarterbacks get boosted up in start 9 in total. Now, make that 14 teams where some people aren't going to be able on a weekly basis to have 2 fucking quarterbacks in their starting lineup. You just, in most normal scoring leagues, unless it's a Koopa league where he nerfed the shit out of the quarterbacks and boosted everybody else, most quarterbacks, being able to have a guy who could have 20 fucking points in your Superflex means the world of difference in a 14-team start 9.
yeah, I think here, like, here's the thing. He needs to go into an uncomfortable spot up the board because he is a quarterback, and when he does start, whether you like him or not, there's a value there. So Mike probably would be a little bit more bullish than I, but I'm even acknowledging like 105, 106, which I think you just said, like, for sure. In 14 team, you can kind of throw out a lot of the other shit just because scarcity goes to an uncomfortable pain point at quarterback. It just gets crazy. So, yeah.
I mean, you got to start 28.
That's what I mean. Every week, in theory, there should be 28. Teams. And what happens? What does that mean during bye weeks? Someone is short. Someone is SOL. Period.
As we all know.
Period.
As we all know. There are weeks for bye weeks where there's 5 or 6 fucking teams.
That's what I'm saying. During bye weeks, there are teams that are SOL, meaning they have to start a skill player. So you have 3 or 4 of them. You're in a huge position of leverage, man.
Chalk up a win.
All right, got a couple questions. We'll get out of here, man. Oh, wow. We got so many comments coming in. But here, is it worth it to trade the 102 and the 110 for the 101 and the 206? Mike, can I tell you the truth? I think it is.
Okay.
Why? Can I tell you why?
Yeah, you want Genty that bad.
Well, there's more value to Genty, but what did we talk about with the tiers?
Well, yeah, but the tier for the second tier, that back end first, that ends about 204. You know, it runs out before you get to the mid second. I
guess a lot of times about who I have at 206 and 204, there ends up being people do enough dumb shit typically in the ones I've been feeling where I'm like, Yeah, I'm
That's
okay with
fair.
it.
I guess on the ADP wise, like you got a Cam Scatabo like sneaks in at the 204, which then makes Trey Harris available.
Right. If
later
if I
than
get
he's-
Trey Harris at the 206, I
Right.
love that.
That's fair. I guess I just so many fucking South Harmon leagues where it's like by the time I get on the clock at 204 for the most part, you're like, you motherfuckers. Like now I gotta really take Jalen Milroe. Like I like him and that's the range he should go, but I'm like, I'm taking a 3rd round fucking quarterback here. Right. God damn it.
Right. That's where I guess you kind of have to understand the risk of what you have at the 110 versus the 206. In my mind, there's a chance where you get a very similar player, and I do think the 101's value is worth this type of a trade. It's not even necessary. Now, here's the other thing to keep in mind, though. I don't know what your league settings are. I don't know if Cam Ward if a quarterback's way more worth having in this league with Warp. So all those things do factor in. But just on the value precipice, seems crazy. But that 101 just every time I see 101 traded away, typically it's a haul that shouldn't go for. That's why for me the 110 to the 206 is. I think it's worth it for the value side of things.
I get you. I would say this for the counterpoint for me. I'm very comfortable with somebody fucking up the 101 pick and letting me walk into Cam Ward anyways, right?
Well,
so, I want to see that happen regardless.
For sure. And that probably happens here.
Or even me being the Cam Ward 101 guy, like I'm completely fine if I pick 102 and the guy at 101 takes Cam Ward and I'm like, hey, look, Ashton Genty, everybody wants this motherfucker too. Like, okay. And then the 110 for me. Here's the sequence, the tier thing for me. Like 110, I'm actively, if somebody lets Dart fall, if somebody lets Kaleb Johnson fall, at the very worst, I'm getting Kaleb Johnson or I'm getting RJ Harvey or Jackson Dart at the 110. Like lock it the fuck in. If it's one of the running backs, the next group of running backs at 206, they ain't going to fucking be there. Like you're choosing a 4th round running back at that point, right? You're choosing Cam Scatable or Bayshaw Tootin or whoever the fuck else, right? Like that's where it starts. Harvey, Kaleb, they ain't making it to the 206. Guaranteed. Lock. And I'd much rather take one of those guys because I know the running backs ain't going to be there. The wide receivers is what makes the tier bigger, and they're not the sexiest, right? Like you got to talk yourself into Golden. You got to talk yourself into Trey Harris or Jayden Higgins or, Egbuka, Burden, etc. It's just not as sexy. I get it. The tier goes a little bit longer, but I really feel like once I get past Kaleb Johnson, RJ Harvey, and Jackson Dart, like that's like another little mini tier break from 111 to say 206 if you want.
Fair. Yeah, I think you got both sides of it there, so make your decision. Speaking of decisions, we have a $20 super chat. Cameron, after losing the helmet, still coming through with the lone super chat of the evening, man. Clutch. You gotta just respect this kid, honestly. There's a stick-to-itiveness about him. You just have to respect,
He's real scrappy.
Did you think the kid was just going to lay down? Abso-fucking-lutely not, Post-draft, loaded at positions other than running backs. I only have Braylon Allen. Well, there was people last year that were touting him top 15 running back, man, Dynasty, So I got the 101, the 104, the 106, the 112, 201. So I package up to get the 103. How much do I give? Feels like I won't see any running backs 112 to 201. I'm not giving up anything to go from 104 to 103 unless at that point Cam Ward's actually on the board and your Warp is like, yeah, you got to go get that dude right now. That'd be the only scenario, honestly, for me.
I'm sticking and picking unless you wanted to do something with 106 and like 112. If that would get you to 103,
then I would love it. I would do it. I would love that.
Right. I'm not moving the 104. It ain't part of the fucking deal at all.
No. Michael, the only way, again, I would move the 104 to the 103 for something light, not probably a first-round pick, unless it's like or Cam Ward's there, right? No way.
No. Doing with the 201 either. So other than that, I'm sticking and picking for most of these unless somebody's really interested in, hey, I'll take the 6 and the 12 or the 6 and the 201. That's where I'd start. Like, is this enough for me to move up 3 spots? Like,
it
that's
might
how
be.
you tell it.
Sometimes
I'm only going
it could
3
be.
spots.
Yeah.
I'm only going 3 spots.
Forget the tiers.
Case, right?
It's just 3 spots, Mike.
It's just 3 spots, buddy. That's all I need. And then you get 3 players in tier 1, and that is worth it to do it, right? Because then it gives you options. You take Cam if he falls, but you could take Genty at 1 because he's not making it to fucking 3, right? Mm-hmm. That's where you can sequence it. You can take Genty at 1. Boom, I already got my running back. We'll see what falls to 3. Do they take Hampton, or do I just gobble up Cam Ward and Travis Hunter, which is completely fucking fine? And then you're sitting there at the 201 and you're like, hopefully John McGlynn's in this league and Kaleb Johnson falls to the 201.
Let him be there at one, because if he's there at 112, I promise you, I'm taking him at 201 just to make the statement. Just to make the statement.
You've done that before a few times.
If you think I'm above manipulating the ADP, you're wrong. Okay, I'm not.
You do quite a bit. I've seen it many times.
Mike, if I have the ability to manipulate the ADP, do you know what's going to happen? I'm going to manipulate the best that I can. I want my handprint all over that thing.
You and I have both been in leagues together where we've had like picks,
because I watch Mike being like, here, I'm going to take Cam Ward here at 101. All right, you know what I'm going to do? Cam Ward is going to go at the 104 just because I have the first 4 picks. I want to cuck him harder,
Fucking up, right? Like if it was this year, just to like piss people off, not only on Kaleb, but like Jackson Dart, say I own the whole back half of the first round. And like
you take him at like 105, 106.
Yeah, like you and I have seen it, and I've seen you do it before, where you've had like 6 picks or 7 picks in a row at the back half of the first round and the early part of the second round. And there's a guy who's supposed to go at like 108. And I've seen you take this motherfucker
203.
204.
Yeah.
Just dead last. Just be a dick.
You know what? All right. He's going to go right here, though. The best part, Mike, can I tell you why I love doing that, though? Because there's actually two part. I love messing with the ADP. But you know what's crazy? I've seen it happen. All of a sudden, I'll start getting offers for that 201 and 202 and 203 because there's someone there that shouldn't be. When they didn't send me the same offer at 107, 108, 109. It's hysterical. You can actually make people send offers that way. It's hilarious. Now, I'll be fair. 99% of the time, they're way too fucking low, and I don't take the deal. But every now and again, Mike, that's how – do you remember the one time I got Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb for 3/3? Because that same shit kept happening. Yeah. Anyway, it's fun.
And because it was Cody, and he's –
roster baiter. I baited his roster.
he has his moments. Let's just say that. He has his moments.
Cody, if you're out there, you have your moments. I love you, but you do have them.
If you're out there, you still got like 3 leagues you got to pay for, bud.
And in a hurry. Anyway.
Please.
All right.
They're supposed to be pre-NFL drafts.
Mike, can I tell you the amount of pre-NFL drafts I'm looking at, and it says – still on a sleeper pre-draft. I'm like, God, we got to pay up, people. All right, it's time to pay up.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's oh, you know what? No, I knew I had one. Rob, I apologize. By the way, appreciate the shout out on the gum. I don't know why I have it down here, and I had it during golf, and I have it down here. I was chewing gum. I apologize. 106, 304, and a 26 third, Mike, or a 27 first, second, third. My running back room is Bucky. Oh. You made this trade, and you need to hear that it was the right play, okay? Because I've talked to you about it on the other channel. Mike, where are you at with this? If you had the 106, would you have made the pick, or do you think it's worth going to get that 27 first, second, and third?
No, I'm making the pick 106.
Yeah, I think Rob, personally, I think you wanted to get off of this pick a little too much. I get the reasoning. I do. You're feeling like, I just don't know who to take there. It's not 104. I think that's the reality of it, right? I'll say this. This 100% can play out in your favor. And frankly, it's probably the more prudent move as far as it's value insulated. You're not going to get screwed off of it, right? The 106, maybe, like, I don't know who that would be, either Tet or come on, Mike. Who was the other 106? Oh, one of the running backs. Trayvon Henderson or Quinshon, right? What I think your problem is, you're missing the value ascension too much because you're being safe. I think that's the reality here for me. I'd rather play a little more aggressive and try to get more than a 27 first, second, and third. But I think the reality is you still got value insulated picks. I just think you probably sold a little lighter than what your upswing could have been. My personal
I ain't doing it because over the next couple months, right? I can take Quinshon.
You're gonna miss.
I can take Trev. You get one fucking rookie minicamp highlight or some coach talking him up or whatever it is about his usage. I can finesse a 27 first and second out of somebody for just that 106 any fucking time I want. Fucking time I want. And it's a pick 2 years out. As much as we'll hype up the 27 class, right? And be prudent and get these on, it's still 2 fucking years out, people. It's still 2 years out. And there's going to be plenty of time for me to get that plus right? We just talked about somebody wanting to send basically 2 firsts for fucking Achane at this point.
Right.
Right? In May.
Yeah.
No football being played.
No, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. No,
I agree with you. I will say the only time I'm doing it, and Rob, like here, you're saying you got the 327s. I get it. I've hoarded them. If you were closer to hoarding like half, I might have been a little more considering of it. And to me, the one biggest caveat where if I was to do this, Mike, like if I was to actually do it, I'd have to feel like, yeah, that's the team. Like I'd have to be like looking at these teams and be like, that's the team I have to have. That's the one scenario where I take that trade. Otherwise, there's too much to be like, because if I'm just taking a random team, like I probably got 3 or 4 chances when the value upswing happens to pick my pick of the litter at that point. Like I could probably pick between 3 or 4 teams, hand pick who I'd rather send Quinshon or Trevion or Tet to that team for their 27 first and second, like you talked about. Maybe even more. Maybe even give me another little grease piece in here. So that's why I wouldn't do it outside of a few rare scenarios.
Well, you start to fall into that range of that bigger tier at the back half of the first round that we talked about, right? Like if you're choosing between a Kaleb or an RJ Harvey.
Yeah, if this was 109,
Matthew
I'd probably
Golden
do it 100%.
Egbuka. Right. Like 106 is still early enough too where I'm like, no, I'm good, man. Because if Jackson Dart's out there and he's starting games and doesn't look abysmal, can I get a 27 first and a second for somebody in a Superflex league for Jackson fucking Dart? Absolutely,
You know what?
I can. All day.
You know what, Rob? This is a 10-team league too, isn't it? Just be honest with us. Just to fuck everything up. Just tell us the truth.
Could be.
I think it is. All right. Was I able to leave? I was able to leave the draft with Genty 101. Hunter 108 is theft. Absolutely. The case over. Case closed. 108 Hunter. Like I got that in pre-draft one time, and I can't believe it. Noel 401. Terrence Ferguson 403. Surprisingly, Dylan Gabriel went undrafted, snagged him, as well as Taj Brooks and Trevor Etienne. Wow. My face is like I'm frozen. I can't believe what happened. Look at this.
You're that excited?
Dude, it's just insane. It's insane behavior.
Hopefully, you didn't spend anything on Dylan Gabriel other than like $1 in fab.
Well, you couldn't have spent as much as the Browns did, so there's that good news, right? Like the Browns spent a 3rd round pick on this guy. Fuck.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
It's terrible. It's not good.
Did you see there was a Cleveland fan account here maybe Sunday or Monday, so it's like post-draft, and they're trying to hype him up again. They just reposted the same bullshit that we already disproved, months ago about him having like a 13-mile-an-hour throw faster than anybody else ever did at the Senior Bowl, which was complete fabricated bullshit. I'm like,
no.
There we go. There's Cleveland fans just trying to hold on to whatever the fuck they can find. Even if it's made up, we don't give a shit.
You think we care? We've seen worse than this. Fuck them. Give us hope.
Give us fucking hope, man. You know what you guys needed? You need a Brian Drew. That's what you guys need.
All right.
You need
it is
you
so
need a
time
guy
to go.
who's out there and he's just ripping out reps, from the strength coaches. Boom, boom. He's got it 15 yards farther on his deep ball. Whole works, man. Squatting 450. That's what you need. You need Brian Drew in your life, Adam.
You know what I need?
Winner.
I need another break. Okay, I've had enough. I'm waving the white flag. This is Mike. It's been a crazy week. Hopefully, we answered a lot of your questions. If we haven't, drop them down in the chat. Post live. We got you covered, and we'll be back next week talking quarterbacks, talking tight ends, talking them all, man.
I
feel
fun. Like you and I might fight.
It'll be great. It'll be great.
Like we're singing Kumbaya today, and we're in agreement a lot. But I think when we get to the quarterbacks next week, we might. Tight ends, nobody gives a fuck, so we'll be in agreement.
It's going to basically just be the quarterback show, right? And we'll
tight ends
we'll sprinkle the tight ends. Yeah, we'll sprinkle it real quick. Get that out of the way.
Do you want to be friends at start of the show or the end?
We'll handshake, and then we'll be like, all right, take the gloves off, baby. Let's go.
Right, that's fair.
Let's do it. No, we appreciate everybody tapping in. We appreciate Jake. We appreciate – it's not Jake from State Farm. Come up with something more clever, all right, all of you idiots out there. We love you. We'll see you back here, same time, same place, next week for AMA. Mike and Adam may or may not take the gloves off if you're interested. We're out of here. Peace.